An imaginary clash of titans, Spinosaurus versus Tyrannosaurus rex. Ever since cinema brought prehistoric creatures back to life, especially through the Jurassic Park franchise, the debate over who is stronger between Spinosaurus and Tyrannosaurus rex has become a hot topic, stirring both the scientific community and dinosaur fans. These two species, each in their own way, are icons of power and dominance in their respective eras. One is dubbed the Tyrant King, the other a mysterious, spiny lizard with a massive sail. This hypothetical confrontation not only sparks curiosity, but also provides a fantastic opportunity to explore their incredible biological features. However, it's crucial to emphasize from the outset that, in reality, a clash between a Spinosaurus and a T-Rex would have been completely impossible. Spinosaurus aegyptiacus, dominated the rivers and swamps of North Africa approximately 99 to 94 million years ago, during the Middle Cretaceous period, Cenomanian. In contrast, Tyrannosaurus rex was the ruler of North America approximately 67 to 65.5 million years ago, during the late Cretaceous period, Maastrichtian. They were separated by millions of geological years and thousands of miles, not to mention the vast ocean that divided the two continents. This battle, therefore, is an impossible fight, a scientific thought experiment to explore the limits of each species based on the fossil evidence we have. Acknowledging this separation in time and geography is the foundation for approaching this showdown in the most objective and scientific way possible. We will score them on aspects of anatomy, physiology, behavior, and habitat to make a well-grounded prediction about who would be the strongest, depending on the stage of the confrontation. Let's lift the veil and see who truly deserves the title of King of the Dinosaurs in our imagination. To better understand the fighting capabilities of the Spinosaurus and T-Rex, we need to dissect each species, exploring the characteristics that help them dominate their environments. Spinosaurus, the mysterious amphibious predator. Spinosaurus aegyptiacus, whose name means spiny lizard from Egypt, was a true behemoth. It's estimated to be around 46 to 59 feet long, making it the longest carnivorous dinosaur ever known, surpassing even Tyrannosaurus rex and Giganotosaurus in length. Its elongated shape is reminiscent of a giant sail gliding through ancient rivers. However, the weight of the Spinosaurus is a topic of intense debate among paleontologists. Estimates range from 8.1 tons to 22 tons. Some more recent studies, like one by Paul Sereno, propose a more modest figure of 8.3 tons. This significant difference shows that reconstructing the mass of Spinosaurus from scattered fossils is a major challenge. The uncertainty surrounding its weight is a considerable weakness when comparing overall strength in a fight, as mass is often directly related to impact force and the ability to withstand blows. This means that, depending on the estimate used, the Spinosaurus could be heavier or lighter than the T-Rex, creating significant ambiguity in hypothetical matchups. Spinosaurus lived in North Africa during the late Cretaceous period, in an environment teeming with rivers, mangrove swamps, and coastal plains. It was a semi-aquatic predator, highly adapted to life in the water. Its diet consisted mainly of fish, supported by fossil evidence such as fish scales found in the stomach of a close relative, Baryonyx, and Spinosaurus teeth found in pterosaur bones, which suggests it was also an opportunistic land predator. This environmental specialization shaped not only its diet but also its anatomy and behavior. A creature specialized for an aquatic environment would have superior strengths there, but also inherent weaknesses when operating on land, an unavoidable evolutionary trade-off. Spinosaurus had a long, narrow, crocodile-like skull with conical, straight, and interlocking teeth at the front. These teeth, not as sharp as daggers but more like hooks, were perfect for gripping slippery prey like fish. Its lower jaw had a special joint, a mobile symphysis, that allowed the back of the jaw to widen when its mouth opened, helping it swallow large prey. The bite force of Spinosaurus is estimated to be between 8,000 and 19,000 newtons, about 1,800 to 4,300 pounds force, or about 5,000 psi according to some sources. This figure, while impressive compared to modern animals, is quite small for a dinosaur of its size, especially when compared to the T-Rex. The dental specialization for hunting fish is a clear weakness in a land battle. Teeth designed to grip slippery prey would not be as effective as teeth designed to crush bones and tear flesh from a large, muscular opponent. The flexible jaw structure, which allowed for pharynx expansion, also reduced the rigidity needed for a devastating bite. The Spinosaurus had powerful forelimbs that ended in 3 fingers with curved, blade-like claws. The first claw was especially large and could have been used to hook or tear at slippery prey. These claws are considered a formidable weapon, particularly useful in the water for catching fish or other aquatic animals. However, despite being sharp, their primary function was to hunt fish. In a land battle against an opponent with thick skin and powerful muscles like the T-Rex, these claws could inflict wounds, but would be unlikely to cause fatal damage or effectively pierce the T-Rex's natural defenses. Their reach is also a factor to consider when facing an opponent of similar height and stature. Spinosaurus possessed unusually dense bones, lacking the hollow marrow cavities typical of other carnivorous dinosaurs, a feature similar to modern penguins that aids in buoyancy control. However, its swimming ability remains a fiercely debated topic within the scientific community. Some early studies suggested it was a phenomenal swimmer, using its paddle-like tail and short, powerful hind legs to move through the water. But recent biomechanical analyses have challenged this idea, proposing that Spinosaurus was not a great swimmer, but rather a wading or shoreline predator. Its tail, while flexible and paddle-shaped, only generated about 700 newtons of thrust, far less than the 17,000 newtons needed for powerful underwater movement. It was also thought to be too buoyant to dive deep and had difficulty maintaining balance underwater. This controversy over its swimming ability significantly changes the potential script for an underwater battle. If Spinosaurus couldn't dive deep or move nimbly underwater, its advantage in an aquatic environment would be greatly reduced, turning the confrontation into a battle in shallow water or on the riverbank, where its mobility limitations could still be exploited. On land, its center of mass was shifted forward, making bipedal locomotion difficult, possibly forcing it to move on all fours. While it could still walk on land, it was not a fast runner. Clearly, its aquatic adaptations came at a major disadvantage for land-based activity, making it sluggish and less agile. The most distinctive feature of the Spinosaurus was its gigantic sail structure on its back, formed by neural spines up to 6 feet long. Early studies suggested it was for thermoregulation or display. However, the sail's dense bone and lack of blood vessels have largely debunked the thermoregulation hypothesis. The most popular current theory is that it was for display, to attract mates or intimidate rivals. Other ideas suggest it might have aided in underwater movement, like a sailfish's dorsal fin, or been used to create shade to lure fish. Regardless of its function, in a fight, this sail would have been a critical, vulnerable weakness. It was not only a large target but could also cause a severe loss of balance if attacked, turning an identifying feature into a strategic liability. Tyrannosaurus rex, the infamous land dominator. The Tyrannosaurus rex, or tyrant lizard king, is one of the largest terrestrial carnivores of all time. The most complete specimens, like Sioux, measure between 40 and 41 feet long and weigh approximately 8.4 to 8.46 tons. The largest known specimen, Scotty, is 43 feet long and weighs 8.87 tons. The most common estimates for an adult T-Rex range from 5.4 to 8 tons, although a recent 2024 speculative study has proposed figure as high as 15 tons, though this should be noted as a thought experiment due to a lack of fossil evidence. T-Rex had a robust, muscular build, often described as a mountain. This stability and immense mass not only increased its impact, force, but also provided significant endurance against attacks, effectively making it a living tank. T-Rex lived in North America during the late Cretaceous period in forested river valleys and coastal plains. It was an apex predator, sitting at the top of its ecosystem's food chain. Its diet included other large dinosaurs like hadrosaurs and ceratopsians, for example Triceratops, Edmontosaurus, and it also likely scavenged when given the opportunity. Fossil evidence shows that T-Rex had experience fighting large and dangerous creatures of similar size, even its own kind. Bite marks on fossils indicate that T-Rex was not hesitant to confront prey that could put up a strong fight. This experience in hunting large, dangerous prey honed the T-Rex into a true warrior, helping it better assess and react in a battle for survival. This is the T-Rex's most terrifying weapon, its jaw structure and bite force. Its jaw was extremely wide at the back and narrowed at the front, allowing for good binocular vision. The skull was incredibly strong, and many of the bones were fused, preventing movement between them and creating a rigid, powerful jaw structure. The T-Rex's bite force was the strongest of all known terrestrial animals, estimated at 35,000 to 57,000 newtons, about 8,000 to 13,000 pounds force, with some older studies even suggesting a figure as high as 23 tons. This bite force was sufficient to crush the bones of its prey, accessing the marrow and nutrients inside. The T-Rex's teeth were diverse in shape. The incisors were D-shaped with reinforcing ridges and curved backward to reduce the risk of breakage during biting and pulling. The other teeth were robust, like lethal bananas. The largest teeth could be up to 12 inches long, including the root. This devastating bite force is the most decisive factor in a land battle. The ability to inflict fatal damage with a single blow, piercing an opponent's defenses, is an undeniable advantage. Although often ridiculed for their small size, the T-Rex's forelimbs were far from useless. They were over 3 feet long, with very strong bones and muscles, believed to be well adapted for a vicious, close-range tearing attack. Each arm had 2 sharp claws about 4 inches long, with beveled edges like bear claws, providing more shearing force than 3 claws. Their shoulder joints also provided considerable mobility for slashing. Other theories about their function include helping the T-Rex get up from the ground or assisting during mating. This shows that the little arms were mighty, acting as a surprising secondary weapon that could inflict deep wounds in close-quarters grappling. The T-Rex had long leg bones relative to its body size, especially below the knee. Its bone structure was optimized to withstand heavy loads, with its spongy bone trabecular bone increasing in density rather than thickness to save weight. This allowed it to maintain strength while still being able to move. The T-Rex's speed is a debated topic, but recent biomechanical studies suggest it moved much slower than Hollywood depictions, perhaps only around 10 miles per hour, like an average jogger. A 2024 study estimated the maximum speed of an adult T-Rex to be between 17 and 23 miles per hour, but also noted that actual running might have caused excessive bone stress. This suggests that the T-Rex was capable of short, powerful bursts of speed rather than long-distance chases. Speed was not its strength, but stability and endurance were key. The ability to maintain stability under heavy load and endure a wrestling match was more important than absolute speed, especially when dealing with large prey or a peer opponent. T-Rex is believed to have had superior senses, including excellent smell, sight, and hearing. Its binocular vision was particularly good due to its skull being wide at the back and narrow at the front. In terms of intelligence, the T-Rex had a larger brain than the Spinosaurus and was potentially a pack hunter, which implies a higher level of intelligence. Acute senses and intellect provide a significant tactical advantage. It could detect opponents from a distance, assess the situation better, and potentially adapt its tactics mid-fight, something a creature with a more primitive brain, like the Spinosaurus, would have a harder time doing. When these two giants are placed in a confrontational scenario, the environment will be the deciding factor. We will consider 2 main scenarios, on land and in the water. Battle 1. On land, the T-Rex's territory. If the battle were to take place on land, the T-Rex would have an overwhelming and almost certain advantage. Advantage in bite force and jaw structure. This is the T-Rex's ultimate weapon. With a bite force many times greater than the Spinosaurus, 35,000 to 57,000 newtons versus 8,000 to 19,000 newtons, 1,000 newtons. A T-Rex could inflict fatal damage with a single bite. The T-Rex's jaw was designed to crush bones and tear flesh. It could easily bite through the Spinosaurus's skin and muscle, especially in vulnerable areas like its long, slender neck or its dorsal sail. The rigid jaw structure of the T-Rex, similar to a crocodile's, allowed it to withstand massive impact forces without breaking, while the Spinosaurus's flexible jaw, though useful for catching fish, would be less durable in a direct brawl. Advantage in body structure and durability. The T-Rex was built like a mountain, with a robust body and bones optimized to handle heavy loads. This gave it incredible resilience against blows. In contrast, the Spinosaurus, though longer, had a more slender body and a shallower rib cage, making it less durable against powerful impacts. The T-Rex's massive weight and stability also helped it maintain balance during a struggle, making it difficult to knock over or destabilize. Land. Mobility. The Spinosaurus, with its forward-shifted center of mass and short hind legs, moved with great difficulty on land, possibly even having to move on all fours. It was not a fast runner. Conversely, the T-Rex, while not a long-distance sprinter, was capable of powerful bursts of speed and stable bipedal movement. This would allow the T-Rex to easily close in, attack, and maintain a positional advantage in a fight. A stumbling Spinosaurus would be an all-too-easy target. The dorsal sail, a critical weakness. The Spinosaurus's massive sail, while likely used for display, was a strategic weakness in a land battle. It was not only a large target, but could also cause severe loss of balance if attacked. A powerful bite to the sail could inflict intense pain, cause massive blood loss, and quickly weaken the Spinosaurus. Intelligence and combat experience. The T-Rex had a larger and likely more intelligent brain than the Spinosaurus. It also had experience fighting large, dangerous dinosaurs like Triceratops and Edmontosaurus, and even its own kind. This experience would give the T-Rex the ability to assess situations, find weak points, and adjust its tactics during a fight, something a Spinosaurus with a more primitive brain would have a harder time doing. Battle 2. In water, the Spinosaurus's territory. If the battle took place in a water environment, the scenario would be more complex, but not necessarily a clear victory for the Spinosaurus as many people think. Initial Spinosaurus advantages. The Spinosaurus clearly had more adaptations for a water environment than the T-Rex. Small nostrils located in the middle of its skull allowed it to breathe with its head partially submerged. The neurovascular openings at the end of its snout helped it sense movement in the water, similar to a crocodile. Its conical teeth and sharp claws were optimized for gripping slippery prey. In theory, it could use the water to hide, ambush, or limit the T-Rex's mobility. Controversial swimming ability. This is the key point. Although the Spinosaurus was semi-aquatic, recent biomechanical studies have cast significant doubt on its excellent swimming ability. Analyses show that its tail, while paddle-shaped, generated very low thrust compared to its massive body weight. It was also believed to be too buoyant to dive deep and had difficulty maintaining balance underwater, often tilting to one side. This means the Spinosaurus may have been an effective wader or shoreline predator, but not an agile swimmer or a nimble underwater hunter like a crocodile or otter. If the battle were to take place in deep water, the Spinosaurus could struggle with movement and body control, especially when dealing with an aggressive opponent. T-Rex's ability in water. Despite being a terrestrial species, the T-Rex is believed to have been a decent swimmer. Many T-Rex fossils have been found in areas that were once river valleys and coastal plains, suggesting it was capable of operating near or in water. With its massive weight and muscle power, the T-Rex might not have been as agile as the Spinosaurus in the water, but it was strong enough not to be easily pulled under or completely overpowered. T-Rex's tactics in water. Even in a water environment, the T-Rex could still rely on its superior bite force. If it could latch onto the Spinosaurus's neck or sail, it could still inflict serious damage. The ability to pull the Spinosaurus to shore, where it would have a complete advantage, would also be a viable tactic. Key factors deciding the outcome of this confrontation: size and weight. Spinosaurus, longer, 46 to 59 feet, but its weight is highly debated, 8.1 to 22 tons. It had a more slender body than the T-Rex. T-Rex, shorter, 40 to 43 feet, but certainly more robust and heavier in common estimates, 5.4 to 9.5 tons, and could be significantly heavier in speculative models. Assessment. The Spinosaurus had an advantage in length, but the T-Rex had an advantage in overall robustness and muscle mass in credible estimates. Mass is often a more crucial factor in a land brawl. Bite force and teeth. Spinosaurus. Much weaker bite force, 8,000 to 19,000 newtons, with conical teeth for gripping fish. Flexible jaw. T-Rex. Extremely strong bite force, 35,000 to 57,000 newtons, with robust, sharp teeth for crushing bones and tearing flesh. Rigid jaw. Assessment. The T-Rex had a complete advantage. This was its main weapon and was capable of inflicting fatal damage in a single blow. Forelimbs and claws. Spinosaurus. Large, sharp claws used for catching fish. Could inflict wounds, but would struggle to cause fatal damage to a robust opponent. T-Rex. Small but strong forelimbs with sharp claws used for slashing at close range. A formidable secondary weapon. Assessment. The Spinosaurus had more impressive claws in terms of size, but the T-Rex could likely use its forelimbs more effectively in a land fight. Mobility and agility. Spinosaurus. Moved with great difficulty on land, possibly on all fours. Its swimming ability is debated, and it may not have been as agile as imagined. T-Rex. Moves stably on land, capable of short bursts of speed, likely a decent swimmer. Assessment. The T-Rex had a clear advantage on land. In the water, the Spinosaurus had adaptive advantages, but it wasn't an Olympic swimmer, as many people think, which would make its advantage less overwhelming. Intelligence and combat experience. Spinosaurus. Smaller, more primitive brain. Had experience confronting other large predators like the Dinosaurs. T-Rex. Larger, more intelligent brain, potentially a pack hunter. Had experience fighting large, dangerous prey and its own kind. Assessment. The T-Rex had a clear advantage in intellect and experience fighting powerful opponents, which would help it make better tactical decisions. Strategic weaknesses. Spinosaurus. Its long, slender neck and massive sail were vulnerable targets. T-Rex. Had no clear weaknesses that the Spinosaurus could exploit effectively. Who is the strongest? Based on a scientific analysis of the anatomy, physiology, and behavior of Spinosaurus and Tyrannosaurus rex, the outcome of this hypothetical confrontation depends heavily on the battle environment. In a land-based scenario, the Tyrannosaurus rex would be the overwhelming victor. With its devastating bite force, robust body structure, stable mobility, and experience confronting dangerous prey, the T-Rex was perfectly equipped for a direct fight. Its jaws could crush bones and tear flesh, while the Spinosaurus, with its specialized teeth for catching fish and more slender body, would be at a serious disadvantage. The Spinosaurus's long neck and sail would be easy targets for a lethal T-Rex bite. The Spinosaurus's sluggishness and lack of agility on land would also make it an easy target and an unlikely candidate for escape. In a water-based scenario, the situation is more complex. Spinosaurus clearly had more adaptations for an aquatic environment than the T-Rex. However, recent studies have shaken the image of the Spinosaurus as a phenomenal swimmer, instead suggesting it may have only been a wader or shoreline predator. Its ability to move effectively in deep water is still a fiercely debated topic. If the battle took place in shallow water or a swamp, the Spinosaurus might have an initial advantage. However, the T-Rex was not completely helpless in the water and could try to drag the fight to shore, where it held an absolute advantage. Even in the water, if the T-Rex could get a grip on the Spinosaurus's neck or sail, it would still be capable of inflicting serious damage. In conclusion, with the scientific evidence currently available, the Tyrannosaurus rex would be the strongest in this hypothetical confrontation, especially in its home territory, on land. The T-Rex's bite force, robustness, and combat experience are the decisive factors. The scene of the Spinosaurus defeating the T-Rex in Jurassic Park 3 was an exciting cinematic creation, but it doesn't accurately reflect what modern science has discovered about these two magnificent dinosaurs. In the natural world, specialization often comes with trade-offs. The Spinosaurus was a master of its semi-aquatic environment, but that very specialization weakened its ability to fight on land, making it a sharp but fragile spear when facing the T-Rex's formidable shield and destructive sword.